morning. It's me. I'm back. Hello to everyone who has been here before. Hello, welcome back from everyone from last week. And welcome to any new people. If you've just made it to the first ever lesson with Mr. Harris, congratulations. You found your way here. We are going to be learning today all about the number 25. And I am going to teach you about the 25 times table, which is a table no one thought they were ever going to need, but it's really, really useful, and I've got some tips for that. And then I'm going to teach you all about the finding 25% of things. I'm going to tell you about 25 as a square number and 25% off of things. That sounds like an awful lot of things to do. Let's get ready to go. So what have you been up to? I am hoping you've all been enjoying the sunshine in your gardens, making sure you're staying indoors, obviously. I have been very, very busy this weekend, doing all sorts of preparation and learning about intros. As you can see, I've tried to do a little intro, and we're going to hopefully get a little bit more professional as the months go on, as I learn a little bit more about the skills. We're still hoping I'm going to manage to survive without going on mute for the whole of the first bit of the video. Last week I think there was only one video where I managed to do 10 minutes of teaching without actually even going live. So that was a good start, but this one we've started well. So let's go straight over to the live studio and last week's work. We've got some lovely stuff sent in. The more people who send stuff in, the more stuff I will show in the gallery of wonderfulness. I've got work from lots of different people there. Good morning to all of you who are in the chat. Good morning, Amelie. Good morning, XCrazy11. Good morning, Roshan. Good morning, Sparsh. Good morning, Paul, if he's here. I don't know if he's here this morning. So, let's move on from these worksheets. That wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't expecting that to come to me. It's because I was on the wrong page. But I'm back, so I'll talk to you and then I'll go back again. There we go. Okay, so this is what I was expecting to happen. I was expecting to talk to you like this. I am going to first of all request that this week I want more feedback. I want people to let me know what topics they want to cover the next few weeks and months. I want people to show me their pictures of their work. I would love more involvement. The more interaction I get from you guys, the better. So here's a thinking starter while I look in the chat and see if anyone else has arrived and has said hello. My thinking starters, this is my odd one out starter. You have 1 minute to come up with as many odd one outs and why as you can. However, to be an odd one out, you have to have two things that two of them do something and one doesn't. It can't be giraffe is the odd one out because it's the only animal. It has to be two of them have something that one of them doesn't have for my odd one outs. You can write them in the chat. This is an interactive activity. You've got a minute, and I'm going to say hello to Siddy, who's here this morning, and good morning, Amber. I think I've already hopefully said good morning to Advika, and I've said good morning to Bev. I'm not sure whether Bev is the mum's name or the child's name, but good morning to everyone who is here. I haven't seen any people writing down what they think their ideas for odd one outs are yet. So what are we thinking? We've got some cherries, we've got a chair, and we've got a giraffe. So what odd ones outs can people come up with? Now if you're doing this and it's not live, I can see wonderfully 78 people are doing this live. But if you're not doing this live, feel free to pause the video and come up with any ideas you've got. Feel free to take as long as you want on this starter. It's just an activity to wake you up on a Monday morning. We're up to 81 people. I was wondering whether we might make 100 today because I know some more people were going to try and come along. It'd be amazing if we got that many people doing a lesson with me. I'd never need to go to teaching again. I could just teach hundreds of people on here. 83 people. We got Sharanya said the cherry because the couch and giraffe have legs. What a brilliant idea. Although, I wonder if you turn the cherries upside down whether they can use their stalks as legs. So cherries and giraffes grow. That is correct, Kay. There are no wrong answers in this, I guess, except for wrong answers. But that's a very good answer. They both have four legs. Yes, because I guess you're going to have legs at the back. Michael Murray. The giraffe because the others begin with C. Imogen has said that the chair has right angles on the legs. Are there any right angles on the other two? That's a good answer. Remember, we're looking for things that two of them have that one doesn't. Okay? And we're going to stop there. Well done for all those people who got ideas. Feel free to pause and carry on with more ideas. There are no wrong ideas. It's waking up activity. There was a bonus prize of glory, of feeling good about yourself, if you came up with my idea. So my idea was the cherries were the odd one out because both the others have got something to do with necks. Giraffes have long necks, and I bought my sofa from Next. So that's why they've got that in common. Okay, moving forwards. We're talking about 25 today. 25. Why has Mr. Harris chosen 25? Well, I've chosen 25 because it's got lots of stuff about it. First of all, you know I go on and on and on about square numbers. Square numbers are where you make numbers by timesing a number by itself. For example, 5 times 5 is 25. So that's why we call it a square number. The 5 is not a square number. The 25, the answer, is the square number. And what that means is, if you didn't know this already, 5 squared is 25. We can write it with a little 2, which means we can write this little funny hat thing. Which means that if you want to go backwards, we talked about inverses 2 weeks ago. If you want to go backwards, the square root of 25 is what we call it. The root, or the square root of 25 is 5. So any square number has a square root if you put that funny little hat on it. And that's how you can find the work backwards to it. So the first thing we've learned about 25 today is that it's a square number and its square root is 5. So that's the first interesting bit. By the way, I've moved my camera back a bit so you can see a bit more of me. Some of you might be thinking, I can see too much of Mr. Harris. We don't like seeing this much of him. If you want me to move it back, do let me know in the feedback. I do listen to all the feedback in the comments to the video or in the live chat or wherever you want to let me know afterwards so that I know what's working. I'm just trying to make it better. So I'm just trying to make it as good as possible. The next thing we're going to look at with 25s is the 25 times table. So, why am I teaching the 25 times table? We haven't even learned all the times tables. Some people in year 3s, year 4s might not have got all their tables yet. Some of you will have. Year 6s I'd expect to have all their tables. But the 25 times table is one where I speak to my year 11s and 10s and they go, we never learned the 25 times table. And I'm so shocked. Because there's only 4 things we need to learn. 25, 50, 75, 100. 25, 50, 75, 100. 25, 50, 75, 100. 25, 50, 75, 100. They're the only 4 things to learn. If we can learn 25, 50, 75, 100, and 25 it is already in the 25 times table. We know it's 25 times table, so we know that one. 25, 50, 75, 100. And the way it works is, if I want, I can use my other hand to say how many hundreds it is. 25, 50, 75, 100. 25, 50, 75, 200. 25, 50, 75, 300. So it's just going up in the hundreds. But we can learn this times table just by knowing 25, 50, 75, 100. Which means, if we wanted to do something big, like 17 times 25, we just have to go 25, 50, 75, 100. 25, 50, 75, 200. 25, 50, 75, 300. 25, 50, 75, 400. 25. It must be 425. So we can learn a huge times tables for 25 times table just by knowing 25, 50, 75, 100. You're probably bored of me saying 25, 50, 75, 100, but I'm trying to get it into your brains so that all day long you'll be sitting in the garden or you'll be sitting downstairs or sitting in your house somewhere going 25, 50, 75, 100. And you'll be like, oh, get it out of my head. 25, 50, 75, 100. But it's really quite useful. Let's make myself go away. I've got some questions for you. How quickly can you find the answer to these? If you're doing this live, try them as quick as you can. I'm not going to give you long. And there's one that's harder than the rest that I've mentioned, that the 4 times table is like a best friend to the. Now, obviously, when I don't finish sentences like that, it's entirely on purpose. It's never accidental that I haven't finished the sentence. The 4 times table is like a best friend to the 25 times table. This is because 4 25s are 100, so we can group it in 4s. That is a good way to do the bottom one, the really difficult one. Because if we divide that by 4, you get 6 whole ones. So 25 is 6 remainder 1. So this is more for the year 5s and 6s. But if you do 6 remainder 1 is how many 4s are in it, that tells you must be 6 25s and remainder 1 25, which means you've got 625. Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whole ones, whole hundreds. The 4, if you divide by 4, it tells you how many hundreds you need. And the answers here are 175. And 25 times blank equals blank. That wasn't my finest achievement, was it? 25 times 9, that should have said. I don't know where the 9's gone. The answer was 225. You had no way of getting that because I stole the 9. I don't know where I put it. Oh, it's under the table down here. I've got the 9 now. 25 times... Well, we just talked about 425, didn't we? It must be 425 would be 16 plus 5 plus 1 more, 17. 17 is 425. And then finally, we just mentioned 625. Oh, the owl's come back. I keep trying to make sure the owl's gone, but he keeps appearing. We'll brush past him. So, we've talked about the 25 times table, 25, 50, 75, 100. We've also talked about 25 being a square number. The other thing that 25 is very useful for is being a percentage. So that's why I've come over here to the percentage zone. And I guess you want to join me. Hello! So in the percentage zone, we have the ability to find 25% of things. And it's useful to remember when we're doing that 25% is 1 quarter. So if you ever want to find 25% of stuff, you just have to find 1 quarter. And there's 2 ways to do that. You can divide by 4, or you can divide by 2, then divide by 2. Halve it, and then halve again. Both of those methods will allow you to find a quarter of something. Let's see what I mean. 25% of 80. A quarter of 80 is 20, or halve it again, we get 20. So 25% of 80 is 20. It works with any number. If we want to find 25% of 64, I find that harder. Finding a quarter of 64, divide by 4. Well, we did the short division bus stop method, so we could use that. 64 in 4s, 4s into 6 go 1 time, carry the 2 forwards. 4s into 24 goes 6 times, so it's 16. But remember, we could have done it with the halve it again method. And look, we still get 16, because both methods work the same way. To find 25% of things, we just have to find a quarter of them, because they are the same number. 25% is 1 quarter. Now for the year 5s and 6s, why? Why are they the same? It's because 25 over 100, which is what percent means, percentage, per means out of, cent means 100, and age because it takes ages to learn how to do it. I'm not sure about that last one. And that simplifies down to 1 quarter. That's why they're the same, because they simplify down. Okay, so I've been talking to you about 25% of things. Does that make sense? I know I can't hear you, so I'm assuming you're all shouting at your computers right now. But hopefully that makes sense on why 25% of things is you find half of it and then half again. And that makes that. Now later, when you're doing your posters, feel free to talk about 25% of things or 25% of what we're going to do next, which is how we can put our prices up and down by 25%. Why would I want to do that? There it is. 25% increase or decrease. Now we're starting to get a little bit harder now. If this bit's hard, listen to it. That's absolutely fine. Why? Oh, I've accidentally done something silly. I didn't mean to do that thing. I pressed the wrong button. Brilliant. So I will go back here. I've got to be careful on my shortcuts. But you got to see my intro again. So at least we know that works. So 25% is an increase or decrease. We are going to be using this for increasing prices. If you are struggling with this, or if it gets confusing, that's absolutely fine. This sometimes happens in the sales. Fantastic. Mr. Harris has gone to buy a nice jacket. Now, obviously this is after lockdown, because we're not allowed out at the moment. But when it comes in, I'm going to buy a nice jacket, green jacket. Everyone knows that you need nice green jackets. It's going to have a pocket up here for me to keep my pens in. And the price tag at the moment is that the jacket costs £60. But there's a sale on, 25% off. In order to work this out, we've got two steps. One, find 25%. And two, subtract it. Because it's off. So we need to take it off. Now remember what I've just taught you. To find 25%, we've got two methods. We can do 60 divided by 4, or 60, halve it, 30, halve it, 15. And they both will make 15. So both methods will work. Once we've found what £15 is, we now have to, because it's a decrease, it's off, we're going to subtract it. So we're going to do the original price minus £15 is £45. Any year sixes who are with us, there's another way you can do it, a quick way. What you are allowed to do is 25% off is 100% minus 25%, which is 75%. You could just find 3/4 of 60, and that would also make £45, because 3/4 is 75%, and that's what's left. That's just mainly for the year sixes. Don't worry if you're year 3 and you're not, and that's confusing. It's okay to be confused by what we're doing. Remember, it's okay to get to have questions and want to know how things are. I'm going to leave that on the screen for you to make a few notes. I'm going to have a quick look and see whether anyone what questions. I know, Sharanya, I played my intro. It wasn't necessarily intentional, but we got to see it twice today, so at least it was there. Okay, so let's zoom back to my PowerPoint and your challenge for today. In the description below, I don't know if I've hidden myself. In the description below, there is the link to today's worksheet, which has got some 25 times table. And question 5 is to make a poster. You can do it on the 25 times table, or you can do it on 25% of things and how we can do that, the two methods for doing that. Or you can, if you want to, make a poster on how we can find 25% off and 25% increase. I didn't do increase, but increase would just be find 25% and add it on. I mainly talked about sales because that's the main time you'll see 25% off of things. But as you can see, there's lots of places where 25 occurs. So that's what I've been trying to do with you today. Any questions? You need to ask me. What will help me is if you've enjoyed this lesson, please click like. The more people who click like, the more people get to see it. The way YouTube works is that the more people who like things, the more they show it to other people. So more children your age will find it, and so more people will get to learn maths, and we'll have even more. We've got 80 people in here now, which is amazing. Let's see if we can get to 100 for next week. That would be amazing too. I have really enjoyed teaching you today. I am going to go and prepare for my lesson at 11 o'clock, which if you're staying with me and joining me, we're going to be learning all about volume! I think that's what we're doing anyway. So, any questions? There's my email address on the screen. Any feedback, put it in an email, go to the Facebook group, or write it in a comment below the video afterwards. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson about 25. I hope you've learned something about 25. I'm gonna head off into the sunshine Goodbye.